Hyannis picks up their third win of the season tonight, snapping their 12-game skid, and the Commodores fall for the third straight game. Welcome into Closing the Door tonight, Matt Levine, alongside my broadcast partner, David Hadar. David, a phenomenal start for Jonah Scalero on the mound out of Florida State for the Harbor Hawks. Delivers their first win since right here on this field on June 30th. They lost 12 straight games all throughout July. Finally, they win again. They now have 2 wins here at the Gov, and only 1 at their home stadium, McKean Park.
Yeah, I mean, Hyannis is on pace to be one of, if not the worst teams in Cape Cod League history. But like you said, they have 2 wins here at Gov Fuller Field, and they've been games that Falmouth really just has looked flat-footed in and has not looked good. They've scored a combined 2 runs in the 2 games that they've played here against the Harbor Hawks and have just not had good baseball tonight. 3 errors from the Commodores. Like I said, only able to put 1 run up in this ball game, and in the end, a 5-1 loss for them here tonight. A game that they totally could have won, that they could have snapped out of a 2-game losing skid, but instead it extends now out to 3 straight games that they've lost, and we'll talk about it more, but the road doesn't get any easier ahead.
Scalero on the mound went 6 innings tonight and took a no-hitter 5 2/3 until finally Braden Taylor delivered an RBI double. Taylor's been a bright spot all season long, but that pitching performance has to be the best we've seen against the Commodores this summer.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely lights out, and it wasn't what we were expecting coming in. It was only his second start of the season for Hyannis, and this is a Hyannis team that up and down the stats is either at or close to last in the CCBL, and so we weren't expecting much from them tonight, but instead Scalero goes out there and gives the best start of the season for Hyannis. He goes 6 innings in the start, strikes out 10 batters, only gives up the 1 hit to Braden Taylor and 2 walks as well. So all around, he was just lights out. At one point, had struck out 6 straight Commodores batters and was really dealing on the mound. And unfortunately, Falmouth now has been on the receiving end of a couple of really good starts from pitchers over these last few games, and it's been part of the reason that they are now on a 3-game losing skid.
And the errors tonight, again, 3 errors for this Falmouth defense. They all came in the infield. 1 by the third baseman, Braden Taylor. 1 by Casey Harford at shortstop. Michael Curiali at second base had 1 as well. You only put up 1 run on the scoreboard, and you commit 3 errors. A wire-to-wire win tonight for Hyannis, the second time they've done that against Falmouth. It was a 2-run homer for Dom Johnson early in the game that started things off, and they had the lead the rest of the way. Late in the game, though, picking up 3 more runs because of a couple errors once again from this defense.
Errors can sometimes come back to bite you, and they don't always. Sometimes you'll just allow an error, but then you're able to get out of an inning and you move on from it. But it seems like all season long, Falmouth's errors have really come back to bite them, and it's been part of the reason that the Commodores have dropped as many games as they have up to this point on the year. Granted, when the one that tonight allowed a couple runs to score, it already came after Falmouth was trailing in this ballgame. That was when Michael Curiali started off the inning with an E4, and then that leadoff man ended up coming around to score in the 8th inning for Hyannis. But regardless, the errors continue to plague Falmouth, and we saw them get it out of their system for a couple of weeks, but they've now had at least 1 error in each of their last 4 games. 3 tonight. They had 4 a couple nights back at Brewster. And you're just not going to be able to win ball games when you do stuff like that. That's not clean baseball. That's not what any of us want to see. And it just creates more moans and groans than it creates excitement around the team. And you're just going to continue to shoot yourselves in the foot when you commit those errors.
And after winning 3 straight, Commodores now fall for 3 straight games in a row. And like you said earlier, the road doesn't get any harder, or easier rather. It gets a ton harder. It's as hard as it gets right now. Two games in the next 3 days at Bourne, the league's best team right now, who doesn't seem to be stopping at all, and sandwich that in the middle, a game against Brewster here at home, the team that sits in first place in the East.
Yeah, so you have first place, and first place on the docket over the next 3 days for the Commodores. And like you said, it's going to be a really tough stretch for this Falmouth team. I think if they can take at least 2 of those games, I'd consider it a success for them because, one, you'd probably then be dropping Bourne for the first time this summer. And then on top of that, if you can get 1 more win against Brewster, the Commodores already have 1 win, but this will be the first and only meeting of the season here at Gulf Fuller Field against the Whitecaps. So if you can take 2 of those, I'd consider it a success. Obviously 3, the Commodores would be thrilled with that. Fortunately for Falmouth, over these last few days, despite the fact that the Commodores have had a losing stretch of their own, Wareham is currently on one too. The Gatemen have lost 6 straight games, so that's keeping Falmouth in the race for that second spot in the Western Division. Katuitt currently holding it, but the Kettleers dropping tonight's game to Bourne, and like I said, it's kind of back and forth right now between Falmouth and Wareham, but Falmouth, as it currently stands, sits at 3rd place in the Western Division. So there's opportunities ahead for this Commodores team. With every passing day, there's fewer and fewer opportunities, and there's fewer and fewer chances for Falmouth to jump up in the standings, but it can be done. They have the opportunities ahead of them, but they need to start creating offense and getting ahead in these ball games.
A tough night tonight, again putting up just 1 run, but now let's bring in the 3rd member of our crew for the final time this summer, Joanne Bethea.
Thanks, guys. Coach, what was the message tonight after the game?
I think, baseball it's a cruel game, and you're facing a team tonight that had lost 12 in a row, and they came out and they made the plays that they needed to play, and we didn't make the plays that we needed to make. So, it's one of those things where we got to be more aggressive in the box, and we got to be able to get on hittable pitches early in the count and stop putting ourselves in counts where it's in the pitcher's favor. So it's just doing the little things, making the routine play, not walking the leadoff guy, getting guys in from third base with less than 2 outs, moving guys from second base with nobody out. It's just playing the game of baseball, and we got to get back to doing those things.
Speaking more of the positives, Braden Taylor with a huge hit tonight. What has he added to the offense this season?
I think Braden is well beyond his years when it comes to his approach and how he goes about his business and how he takes batting practice. He takes it like a professional, and that's what makes him successful. I think he's probably not playing to the level that he would like, but he's still giving us great at-bats, and he's still competing. So it's just one of those games where it's just one of those – the game is tough, and some of these guys are going through that little funk right now, and we just got to find our way to get out of it. As
a coach, how do you help your players get out of this funk?
I think that's what makes coaching so fun is I mean all the time really, I enjoy the adversity of the game more than I do the successes, because that's when you actually get to coach, and you get to when things are going good, you just kind of step out of the way and let the players take over. So tomorrow we'll get back to work. We'll talk a little bit, and we'll hopefully get back on our winning ways.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Falmouth going down 5-1 to Hyannis. They will be on the road taking on Bourne. I'm Joanne Bethea, closing the door for my last time alongside Matt Levine and David Hadar.